This is going to be the proof for you, okay, to give you the strength to have the courage to trust in the plan for the next 6 months, because you're going to see overwhelming proof across the entire earth from the summer of 2017 till now. You're going to see this play itself out. So to make it clear again, CNN is now in control by POTUS, Donald J. Trump. Boris Johnson and the British government is under control of POTUS and the NSA and, you know, the Q plan, the Q group. This is all being run by this group. Every single government on earth, all of them, have capitulated over to Trump. And that's why Trump made, from 2017 to early 2019.
He hit the ground running.
Yes, he did. And he took 6 months to clean the swamp in Washington. And then we're going to start here in a sec. And then he went to Saudi Arabia first because he needed to. There's a reason he went to Saudi Arabia first. And that was the summer of 2017. And that's where this whole story I'm going to tell you today begins. So you're listening and you're just going to walk away from this angry or whatever. But you need to understand, mea culpa. It rests with you. It rests with me. If it wasn't for us being so asleep, none of this would have been allowed to happen. We should have woken up to the milk cartons 30 years ago, 40 years ago, with all of these children going missing. If we live in the most advanced Western world in the history of the world, then what the heck are so many children going missing for, and why are so many kids on milk cartons?
Yeah, the excuse of us being asleep just doesn't cut it when you see what's been taking place right under our nose. It just doesn't cut it.
So I know some of you are going to be very angry with this. All I can say to you is that we are responsible. All of us are responsible for this, and this is and you just also need to see this as an opportunity. The next 6 months are an opportunity. It's an opportunity for all of you to become the kind of hero that you've always wanted to be in your eyes. Trust in you. Trust in the plan that there are good people fighting against the sickest, most evil people in the creation of evil. Come on. There are good people out there. You get up and be part of this.
They are our tribe.
Absolutely.
Let's support them. We're the digital warriors. Yeah.
And be strong. And be strong for your kids, like so many of you already are. And be that hero. This is your chance. These 6 months is for you to write a new story in your life, and you to become the strong person you've always wanted to be, and the hero that you have always deserved to be. Be strong, not weak. Don't sit back and just go, oh, Trump's going to do everything. No. No more with Bojo playing this role. No more with Matt Hancock. Enough of this. It's your country. It's not theirs. Who are you afraid of? The police? Remember, they get paid by you. The army, they get paid by you. They took oaths to protect you, not their immediate superiors. So be strong. These 6 months are a gift, an opportunity for you. You may not be able to wrap your heads around that, and it is what it is, but it is an opportunity. This is a gift, and we need to take this gift.
And who imagined on January 1st of this year that 2020 would roll out the way it has? Nobody had any idea of what was coming, but here we are, almost halfway through it. So I think this is a pretty good point for you to take it away and just say what you wanted to say today. Okay, so let's start first. Everything is about Donald Trump and the abbreviation that you get with Q called D-class or DECLAS. And DECLAS is code or an abbreviation for D-class, and D-class is short for declassify. So the main people behind all of this have been the NSA, because once the military was given access to all of this, cameras everywhere and spying technology everywhere,
access to your cell phone,
and access to everything about you. As soon as that information became available, a group of people within the military said, this is our chance. There is a moment in time, and we must act upon this, because what they don't seem to get, and by that meaning the minions who are running things for whoever is hidden in the background, what these minions don't seem to get is that they're just as vulnerable as we are. And so what has been going on, my friends, since 9/11? So remember 9/11, how evil that is, and it was evil. You know, the cremation of care, 11, the twin pillars, that's the two temples of your brain, and 9 is God consciousness, and it was the killing of God on September 11th, 2001. That's the symbology of it. And they were laying out for us in plain sight what they were about to do and finish. And the coronavirus, through 5G towers, 5G wireless, that's right, this wireless signal was their coup de grace, was their kill shot. That was going to be the kill shot for us. And everything went wrong when Hillary didn't win that election. And what you all need to wrap your minds around is that they still to this day don't understand how they lost that election in 2016, or November 2016 to Donald Trump. They don't know how, because it was rigged. It was rigged in their favor. The machines were rigged in all the key states. And that's why that Trump actually won in a landslide. If the machines, California, was key states, were all rigged for Clinton. That's why as the night went on, she started to catch up a little bit. No, it was a runaway for Trump across the entire land, but they had it rigged for a massive Hillary victory. And if that had happened, we'd already be in these FEMA camps. We'd already be locked in our homes. Those of us that didn't comply to that would be in FEMA camps or in body bags. So this was it. This is the plan. So it all starts with the symbol declassify. This comes from the NSA. They have been spying on them, and they have it all. Nothing can stop this plan. Nothing can stop what's coming, because they have everything. And Julian Assange has been a big player in doing that. And eventually, when the truth comes out about Julian Assange, you'll go, oh, I should have noticed that. Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, I should have picked up on that, but I didn't. So you'll see. I don't want to give too much away. But Assange, number one is declassified.
Was Assange really under arrest, or was that some kind of ruse?
All part of a ruse for the mainstream media to buy into it and to brand him a certain way and stuff. So yeah, he's played a very dangerous role. None of this has been safe and easy for Julian Assange. It hasn't. He's been at risk. He's put himself at risk. But then that whole family has. That whole family has. And there's much more to this family that we're talking about that is yet to come. You don't know all of it yet. You don't know who's coming out next, because there's going to be another person in this family that's going to be able to shine in the coming months, because this is all about technology at the end of the day. So we'll get to that later. Now, number one, so all of this plan, they took all of this information. Trump, by the way, folks, didn't do anything, although Attorney General Barr was placed well in advance to be kind of like a fly on the wall for the CIA. They realized a long time ago from the Kennedys that the CIA was too far gone and too dangerous to try and take down, and too many tentacles out there. So they haven't even tried to take down the CIA. They have just cut them off. The CIA is what it always has been. It's just in plain sight now. They are a rogue agency. They always have been a rogue agency. They exist for the 13 families. That's all they exist for. That's all they answer to. So, but AG Barr was put there as in a special position as a fly on the wall, and he's gleaned a lot of information that has been valuable in helping them understand the CIA's role in all of this and what they were likely to do when this all came down. Okay, so remember that. So declass is everything, because the NSA has everything. Okay, so Trump is armed with everything. By June of 2017, so this is only 6 months in office, and little underneath that, and Trump has, for the most part, cleaned most of the swamp, restructured the DOJ and the FBI, which is most important, and some other key offices closer to home, closer to the president, were all cleaned up, and the proper people that they had waiting in the wings were put there. Okay, so in the summer of 2017 it began. Where did Trump go first? He went to Saudi Arabia, and there he went and paid a visit to the Crown Prince. Now, let me just go back, and I apologize to everyone because I just have had so many names in my head here. But Al-Walid it was the Crown Prince at that time. Now, he got right into the whole adrenochrome thing and the harvesting of children, and Saudi Arabia began to put in massive tunnel networks underneath the ground. This is all because this Al-Walid got sucked in by the cabal, the 13 families, as a huge player, one of the three main arms of their weaponry. So he was exalted with enormous power amongst the minions. Al-Walid became one of the key minions by going really evil. And there are a lot of Saudis that didn't like this. They knew what was going on and they didn't like it. You can say whatever you want about some of their other beliefs and stuff, but there's a lot of people that draw lines with children. And so that's what he did, and this is why he needed to be taken down. And there are articles everywhere. You do your own research. The CBS News even did an article, and we're talking about weeks after Trump came and on his visit in July of 2017 to Saudi Arabia. After Trump left, that's when the arrests happened, and Al-Walid was arrested, taken down, and in his place was bin Salman. And bin Salman is somebody who was not okay with what Al-Walid was doing. Now, a bit of a backstory quickly here, because we got so much to go through, but Al-Walid is the one that sort of handpicked Barack Obama as somebody that they could work with and exalt into power, and he's the guy that funded, and that's why Obama has this real kind of Muslim background and sort of the whole Middle Eastern kind of thing with his name and all of it, is because it was this Crown Prince Al-Walid of Saudi Arabia that decided to make Obama the one that they were going to turn into this linchpin of U.S. presidents. And so he funded Obama. And so Obama, if you're not aware of this, as a kid, Obama was passed around as a sex toy at some of these bigger gatherings of powerful men, and so he was sodomized, and so it explains a lot about Barack Obama, but it doesn't excuse him for anything. But just suffice to know that he had a rough upbringing, for sure, and so he was ripe for the picking, and they chose him, and so Al-Walid funded him. And this is the same Saudi Crown Prince that got Saudi Arabia heavily invested into adrenochrome and child trafficking and the setup and the murder of all of these children for adrenochrome. So when Trump arrived in the summer of 2017, he laid out all of the documents. That's what they did to everyone. They had folders, and the folders had all the documents. There were photographs. They came with discs, CDs, and DVDs, and the CDs and DVDs had fantastic production value, and it had all of their footage doing the most horrific things. The NSA has it all on all of these people. And so I think probably the big things that scared them the most were these DVD compilations of their greatest hits of evil. And so Trump was there the first day, handed all of this stuff out. Now, this is absolutely the truth. What happened the second day? The second day, The second day, the crown prince and the king both submitted publicly control over Saudi Arabia to Donald J. Trump. And how do you know this? Because they publicly held the sword dance ritual, which is a very, very big deal to the Muslim culture. And only the king holds the sword. And during this festival, of which, you know, we've got the images here, who's holding the sword, who's at the center, who's at the very center at the top of the podium, and who everyone else is around in support of, Donald Trump is holding the sword. He is at the center of the stage. This is Saudi Arabia publicly capitulating, and in one of the photos that we have, it shows the Saudi king, and he looks like he's about to die. He's in so much pain at what's going on here, and that's it. Because was very fresh for them. They just handed over the keys to Saudi Arabia to Donald J. Trump, and that happened in the summer of 2017. That's step number one. After the declassify of this documentation via the NSA, this was step number one. Saudi was the big player that they needed to get on side. So what is important to note is that where Trump went next, he went with Saudi as part of his team. So you need to understand, it's not just that he didn't go there and take them down, and that they're never going to do it. No, they're now working for him. They're earning credits towards their own salvation and their own not being as harshly punished as they could have been, and all the rest of this. We'll see how that all plays out. But they're part of this team. They're part of the Q plan now. You need to wrap your heads around this. And the new crown prince that replaced Al-Walid was bin Salman, and bin Salman really stepped up and became a key player and did a lot of things to help Donald Trump, and we're going to get to that. So that was step number one. Step number two, and then the days that followed, Trump left Saudi Arabia and went immediately to Israel. Okay? Do you remember how angry most of you got when you saw those pictures of Donald Trump at the Wailing Wall in Israel, and confirming all of our worst fears that you know, he was a Zionist tool.
After the video that I put out yesterday, a few people commented in YouTube that how can you be so naive? Trump is a Zionist tool.
Yep.
He's in there with, you know, the Zionist regime of Israel and all this. That seems to be one of the main bugbears that people have with Trump, and it seems to prevent them from giving him any further credence because they just write him up as a Zionist puppet.
Right, and you know, folks, let me burst your bubbles here a little bit. This whole thing with Israel being the linchpin and being the real kings behind this, and that these Zionists, none of it's even real. You're just going to see it's all fakery, it's all subterfuge. There is no such thing, and sorry, this is going to probably offend some people, but there is no such thing as a genetic Jew. There are lots of Hungarians and Poles and Czechs and Germans, and Jews are just like us. They come from all over the place. But there's no genetic race called the Jew. Israel is Colleen calls it the ultimate Trojan horse. It is subterfuge. It is designed to take you down a rabbit hole, and there's no getting out of this rabbit hole, because none of this really exists. Okay,
just like they're playing the black card right now.
Yes,
they like to play the Jew card.
They play the Jew card. So they invented all of this with Jews, and then the bad Jews, Zions, and I just feel terrible for all these people that have been dragged into this, that are innocent and beautiful people that you know truly see themselves as Jews, and that they're oppressed and they're hated by everyone, and now they're just being used by the Phoenicians. He's not a puppet for the Zionists. There are no Zionists. Remember, folks, there's just the Phoenicians. There's just those 13 families, and they're very smart, and they're very good. And they created this ultimate Trojan horse subterfuge of the Jew being a literal creation, just like, you know, you're going to hate this, but Jesus Christ being an actual, you know, Swiss-looking white dude in the Holy Land 2,000 years ago, that didn't happen. They're just lies everywhere. So Trump went to Israel and he sat down with everybody in front of the camera and behind the cameras, the people that are really in power, and he laid it all out on these minions. I'm talking to you, he said, not who you try to present yourself to be to everybody else, but I'm talking to you, minion, Netanyahu, and everybody else who is a child eater. This is for you, and you have a choice to make here. And Trump they were balking at him, even though he showed that the Saudis had signed over, and the Israelis were balking at Trump and were not prepared to sign over, and that's why Trump stayed an extra day, and they finally capitulated. And Trump was not going to leave Israel without them capitulating to him. And the sort of the how do you know moment is after visiting the Wailing Wall, Israel publicly submitted allowing the United States to move their embassy to Jerusalem, Jerusalem, LEM, to move the embassy to Jerusalem with the Americans' military protection. So this is symbolic. It is a symbolic act to show who has the power, even in the Holy Land, with the Jews and with these Zionists who are in charge of the sacred truth about the Jewish heritage and tradition. That's why it was done. It was only done for one reason, just to be a symbolic act to show those who had eyes to see it that Trump had now taken down Israel. They submitted. Step number 2 of the journey completed. Saudi Arabia, Israel on board. So where would he go next? Who are the 3 big players? Saudi, Israel, and then the Vatican. So days later, he shows up at the Vatican, and he presents to Pope Francis a massive, apparently the folder was absolutely huge, and handed it over to them and said, yeah, you know, take your time, have a look-see, and put your red shoes on. They were apparently Trump kept making little digs at Pope Francis about his red shoes. Yeah, you might want to put your red shoes on when you look at all of this stuff, and you might want to wear your red shoes when you come back and give me your answer. So that's what Trump is saying. I'm not leaving here until you sign some documents for me. And we're going to get to why that was in a sec. But it took the Vatican that night, and the next day they capitulated to Donald Trump. And there is a very famous photo in that summer of 2017 with Trump at Vatican City, right next to Pope Francis. Pope Francis looks like he's been run over by about 60 semi-trucks. Donald Trump has a look on his face that is a mixture of victory, joy, and mischievousness. Like he knows he's committed a big act here. So Trump has a massive grin on his face, and Pope Francis looks like he's had both of his eyes punched in by about 60 thugs. He looks so horrific. And they symbolically signed off. Now, what did the Vatican have to do to sign off? You see, the Fed is controlled by a certain group within the Catholic Church. Who went forth and spread the teachings of Christianity? The Jesuits! Because they're holy men. No. The Jesuits are the real mafia, my friends. Every little group of mafia in every single town around or across this vast earth, every little mafia pays homage to this particular group in the Catholic Church. They are in charge. They are the true mafia. and they were in control of the Fed. So Trump did not leave until Pope Francis issued a papal bull announcing that by a certain date, the Vatican Bank, which was in charge of all, was the head executor, the exchequer of all of the earth-wide Federal Reserve banking systems in each country, would be handed over to one Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump is not, Mark, just the executor, the exchequer of the U.S. Treasury and therefore the Fed within the United States. He is the exchequer for Earth. He is the exchequer for the treasuries for every single country on Earth. That's what I told you earlier. No human being in history has ever been more powerful, owned more things, or richer than Donald Trump.
Charlie,
Yeah.
let me ask you where this leaves the Rothschilds, because this is what we hear about the Rothschild family. They are said to be in control of the central banks in every country around the world. So where are they left in all this?
Brilliant question. Because at this meeting, that just cut the legs off at the knees of the Rothschilds in London. So London was the financial arm of all of this. Washington was the military arm. Rome was the central brain, the core. They call it the spirit, but it's not. It's sort of the central brain of this unholy trinity of power. And what they did by doing this is that, so Trump's thinking is like the CIA, the Rothschilds, and the financial district of the city of London is too evil, it's too far gone, don't even want to work with them. And he's not. He circumvented them. Like the crucifixion in the human physiology, you can't get through Atlas, the 33rd vertebrae, so you have to go up and around. Trump went up and around the Rothschilds, who are really a nasty, evil piece of work. So the city of London in the summer of 2017 had and I'm talking about the real city of London owned by ultimately the Phoenicians, but ruled by the Rothschilds. They had their legs cut off at the knees, and they have not been a real player ever since. Ever since, Mark, they have not been a real player. All of their power was cut off, and they have been forced to do some really humbling things over the last 18 months, in particular, by POTUS. So you want to know about the Rothschilds? They're just still looking for their legs from the knees down. So that was step number 3, and so now you see the 3 main arms, or the 3 main geometrical pillars of the pyramid, this evil, unholy pyramid, have now all been controlled. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the Vatican and that's where his first 3 stops. Now, when Trump left Rome, he flew directly to Brussels, and you all know the 2 big players that are in Brussels. You have this European Parliamentary for the EU, and then you also have NATO that just happens to be in Brussels as well. And Trump called the meeting. They were all there, all of the political heads, along with their finance ministers. And then all of the behind-the-scenes individual players were all there for this. And Trump apparently, very famously, he called everyone together for this meeting, and then he purposely came late, and he made them just sweat it out. He made these pieces of dung in Brussels sweat it out because they didn't know quite what to think and what was coming. So Trump makes them wait. He walks in late. He throws this big folder on the table, and he said, "We have it all. We have it all. What's your answer?" That's what he did. And he played just incredible hardball with the EU and NATO. And in short order, those little rats, those little cowards, they all capitulated in very, very short order. And there was a whole bunch of things that occurred in the following days from there, including the EU backing down on Brexit, and NATO having to, step up and basically pay for the bulk and all of these different nations instead of the United States having to fund all of them. It's not like that's a big deal in terms of saving money or anything. No, it's symbolic. It's symbolic. You're going to pay for NATO from now on. We're not, because I'm in charge. I'm the boss, says Donald Trump, and you do what I tell you to do. So when the photo op came for this famous meeting in Brussels, Trump again came late. And so all the film crews are there, and all the cameramen are there, and all these heads of both the EU and NATO are there, and they're all under bright lights, and they've got their fancy suits on, and they're all sweating like crazy, and Trump is making them all wait, and he walks in late, and he does not acknowledge any of them, and he's kind of whistling when he comes in and stuff like this, and then he just shows to everyone who was there that he was in charge of the meeting. He disseminated the information to the press. He said what was going down. He showed them. He came in late, and then he left, and he owns the EU and NATO. And that's it, folks. That's why they've done everything they've done ever since. Now, in October of 2017,